cold, but they'll be much more active and much more hungry as well. But in the winter, when they are not eating, what they'll do is they will actually live off of the fat that they have stored in their tails. In the spring and summer, when there's more food, they'll store excess fat in their tails. So when occasions arise, if there's not enough food in the area, or if it's not warm enough out to eat, they can easily live off the fat that they have stored. Now, we do have 17 American alligators here in this lake, and they do range in size from our smallest, who is about 5.5 feet, to our largest, who is last measured at 12 feet 3 inches. Since these guys are reptiles, we can never say that they are fully grown, because reptiles do continue to grow their entire life. Now, when these guys do start out, they start out growing at a much higher rate. They're going to grow on average about a foot a year. But luckily for us, when an alligator reaches 6 feet, that is considered maturity, and they do slow down when it comes to growing. Only growing on average up to an inch a year. Usually they're going to grow much less than that, but it also depends on conditions, food, water, how many other alligators are in the area, different things such as that. But these guys will continue to grow until the day they die. Now, we do have a mix of males and females in here, but the only way to tell them apart is by size, so it's not always a guarantee. On average, females are much smaller, anywhere between 6 to 8 feet. Males are going to be much larger, anywhere between 10 to 12, even up to 14 feet. But if you do see a smaller alligator, it could always be a juvenile male as well. Now, what Mark is doing here right now with these guys is, believe it or not, a training session. Every alligator in here has a name, and they do actually know their names. A lot of people don't give alligators credit, but they are a pretty intelligent animal. These guys know their names, and their names are either based on physical characteristics or their personal behaviors, and he will call their name, and he'll ask them to do something, such as come up on land, lift themselves up, hold a position, open their mouth open, hold that mouth open, back up. And the reason that he does this is so that we can get a close, safe look at these guys. That way, when we come out here to feed them, they're not all rushing up onto the bank to get food because they know they haven't been asked to do so, to come up here for food. And that way we can make sure that everyone looks all right, no one's acting strangely, everyone's eating all right, there's no injuries to speak of. So it's definitely a nice, safe way for us to work with them and for them to be around us. Now, with that said, what you see Mark doing here, you never want to try to repeat this. Mark has been trained to do this and to do so safely. But what happens when people start feeding alligators out in the wild is the very first time a human feeds an alligator, they start to lose that natural fear of people, and they quickly associate people with food. And in the state of Florida, it is against the law to feed or harass an alligator in any way, shape, or form. If you get caught, you will be fined and you will serve jail time. And after an alligator has been fed by a person, the next time they see someone, they will approach them because they don't know any better. They are expecting food. And these guys do not know the difference between Mark's hand holding that piece of beef and Mark's hand feeding that piece of beef. And keep in mind, these guys are incredibly strong. A full-grown alligator can have anywhere between 1,000 to 3,000 pounds of pressure per square inch on those jaws. So you're looking at some bone-shattering power. Now, a lot of people think that alligators love to eat people. We're one of their favorite things. They love to attack us. Not the case. We're actually not even on an alligator's menu. 75% of their diet consists of fish. The other 25% is going to be the turtles, small mammals that wander too close, birds that happen to roost overhead. So definitely we're not one of the things on their list. And also these guys tend to not go after something that is bigger than them. It's a little bit too difficult, and these guys are very opportunistic and like to take the easy way out. But what happens is these guys become habituated to people. Someone goes to feed them, a hand gets grabbed, and their automatic response is to want to spit us out. They actually don't even like the way we taste. But what happens is we tense up, we struggle, it sets off that fight or flight motion with these guys, and obviously that's when accidents are going to happen. So if you do see one of these guys out in the wild, you definitely want to keep an nice safe distance of at least 10 feet or more. You definitely want to admire them, take some pictures, because it is a pretty amazing thing to see one of these guys out in the wild. But you want to give them that respect, stay a nice safe distance away. It'll work out pretty well for you and for these guys as well, because what happens is these guys will become known as nuisance animals once people start feeding them. And for public safety, they have to be put down or taken out of the system. And we definitely want to avoid that, because back in the 1970s, these guys were nearly wiped out. They were being hunted not only for their meat, but for their leather, for that nice smooth underbelly. That leather was being used from everything from purses, hats, shoes, belts, wallets, everything you can think of in the name of fashion. Luckily though, they were one of the very first animals placed on the endangered species list, and today they have made an overwhelming comeback. It is estimated that in our own backyard today, we have over 1.3 million alligators, but they are still protected, and that has to do with their close cousin, the American crocodile. Florida is the only place in the entire world where you will find alligators and crocodiles living together out in the wild. But unfortunately, the American crocodile is still highly endangered. So to help them out, we do have the alligators protected. Now there is a primary way to tell the difference between an alligator and a crocodile, and that is their snout. Alligators can have that more rounded, more U-shaped snout. Crocodiles, they tend to have that more narrow V-shaped or pointed snout. But again, if you see one of these guys or a crocodile, definitely keep that nice safe distance of at least 10 feet or more, but you're definitely going to want to admire getting to see one of these guys out in their natural surroundings. But thank you guys for coming out today. If anyone has any questions at all, Mark and I'll be more than happy to stick around and answer them. And coming up at 1 o'clock will be our Meet the Keeper at Giraffe.